Today I'm talking about the major arcana in tarot. So in a regular tarot deck, there are 78 cards, and 22 of those cards are the major arcana. The major arcana tells the story of the fool's journey. So it's a story of personal enlightenment, growth, fulfillment. The major arcana represents the things that we naturally go through in life that allow us to grow as people. And keep in mind that everyone reads tarot differently. Everyone has a unique perspective on specific cards and spreads and the way that the cards interact with each other. And a lot of it is intuition, and a lot of it, or some of it, is the card meanings. So the cards do have universal meanings, but those meanings are not always set in stone. You have to rely a lot on your intuition when you're doing readings for yourself or other people. So, okay, let's begin. The first card is the Fool. The Fool is someone who is, he's just someone who doesn't understand life. He thinks he gets it. He thinks that he knows a lot. He might be stuck somewhere or kind of like not really understanding where he's going in his life. Maybe he's content with it, or maybe he's trying to find a way to get out of that. Like making a decision about something, or either way, he is completely oblivious to what's going on around him. He has no idea the deeper meanings of life or the deeper meanings of himself. But the main thing with him is that he's willing to learn. He wants to understand. He wants to understand himself. He wants to understand life, and he wants to understand the society around him. The keywords with the Fool are new beginnings, adventure, taking risks, good or bad, naive, trust, choices, leap of faith, innocence, and spontaneity. The first person he meets on his journey is the Magician. And with the Magician, the High Priestess is also there. So these two kind of are the same, are opposite sides of the same coin. The Magician, he's able to manifest anything that he wants. He's powerful, creative. He knows what he wants and how to get there. He's able to balance all of the elements to create everything that he needs. But he's only able to do that because the High Priestess is building the foundation for him so that he can stand up and do it. So the High Priestess is the unconscious thoughts and emotions that we all have that we might not be aware of. She's the intuition. She's the hidden potential or the secrets. They both have a lot of knowledge, and they both are very powerful. They're both entirely equal, but the only difference is that the Magician is about action, and the High Priestess is about emotion. So she kind of builds a foundation for the Magician so that he's able to create these things. The third one is the Empress. You can think of the Empress as Mother Earth. She is warm, inviting, nurturing. She is like the very definition of what you would expect a mother to be. If you like Harry Potter, think of Molly Weasley. That's how I kind of picture her in my head as Molly Weasley. But other than that, she teaches the Fool about abundance and the importance of love and nurturing, and how in order to grow and in order to have these things, like all of this abundance, you have to plant seeds for yourself, and you have to do it in a place that's fertile and able to grow. So that's where the nurturing comes in, and the love and the acceptance and support, because she believes that with all of those things, that's the only way that something is going to be able to grow. The next one, number 4, is the Emperor. The Emperor, like the Magician and the Magician and the High Priestess, the Emperor and the Empress kind of go together, where the Empress is the mother figure, the Emperor is kind of the father figure. He represents structure and order and rules and routine. He's very authoritative. So when the Fool gets to him, he's learning about the harsher side of life and the harsher part of reality. He's learning that there are rules in life and things that he should and should not do. He's learning the little things, the cultural aspects of his life that he might not actually realize he's learning. So he's learning how to act in a society, or how to act a certain way. And then he goes on to meet the Hierophant. And the Hierophant kind of builds off of that knowledge that the Fool's already learned. So where the Emperor represents stability and structure, the Hierophant is formal education and conformity expectations. So things that are being done as a tradition or out of habit. So the Hierophant now is kind of teaching the Fool that all those things that he learned from the Emperor are important, and that in order to function, he needs to conform. And so he's teaching him the hegemonic view of society, which means that it's the dominant view of society in any context. He's teaching him belief systems. I mentioned formal education. Formal education, that's where we learn a lot of our societal norms, is in school. So he's teaching him like how to act in society and what is expected of you. So the Emperor taught him rules and ways of doing, but the Hierophant is teaching him what is acceptable and what is expected of you. Then he goes on and he meets the Lovers, and he realizes that he's thinking about relationships. I don't see the Lovers as all romantic relationships, because in my opinion that all relationships require love and compassion. So the Lovers isn't necessarily, to me, it isn't necessarily a love relationship. It could be a platonic relationship. So at this point, he's ready for relationships. He's thinking about it. He's thinking about other people, wanting to be in relationships, romantic relationships. He's learning that it's okay to focus more on another person, and trying to learn how to do that. It's at this point that he realizes that he needs to examine his own values, morals, and beliefs, because that's the only way that he can move forward, and that's the only way that he can have a healthy relationship with another person. Because a relationship is not just you, and it's not just the other person. It is a combination of two people. And that takes time and energy and a lot of compromise. And a lot of understanding of yourself and the other person. And then he becomes the Chariot. The Chariot is a card about action. He's confident. He's been achieving so many great things, and he is so happy with himself, and it kind of shows on his face. Like, he's just happy. He's self-content. He's feeling victorious, triumphant, and in control. And he feels like nothing can bring him down. But he has to remember that even though he's feeling all these great things, confidence is good, right? But it is not good to be overconfident. So he might be feeling like he's on top of the world and he's amazing because he's accomplished all of these amazing things, but he has to be careful that his ego doesn't get ahead of him. And the next one, the Fool starts to realize that challenges are being given to him. And right after the Chariot, this kind of knocks him back, and he realizes, oh my gosh, I still have so much to learn. And he's learning how to be strong. He's learning patience, love. He's learning, instead of the raw power that he learned with the Chariot and his successes, he is learning the power of love over anger, and the power that love has, like the soft version of love versus the harsh version of love. He's learning how to be gentle and kind and compassionate because of his experiences. He's learned now, because he's experienced some setbacks, that he doesn't have to run full force into things and take things with the mobility that the Chariot has, or the power that the Chariot has. He's learning how to be more soft and gentle, which leads him into the Hermit. The Hermit is kind of a difficult card for me. At face value, it's kind of like what it sounds like. It's self-isolation, trying to figure out a purpose, like examining your role in society and examining your life and purpose and meaning. But he's also telling us that we need to start questioning why. Asking the questions like, why is this happening? Why do I do that? Why do I act a certain way? This all sounds very philosophical, but it's part of self-growth. And that's what the Fool is learning as well, is to kind of let that stuff go. And it may seem silly, but in the end, it's worth it. The Hermit is, for me, the kind of feeling that you get when you need to isolate yourself to keep your sanity, or you need to think deeply just to figure out the root of a problem. He represents sacrifice, but also generosity. It's not sacrifice in the way that he's being a martyr. He's learning what things he can leave behind, and that's whether it's material or ways of thinking. He's examining his belief systems and his ways of doing and figuring out what is working for him and what isn't. the Wheel of Fortune. Just when things started getting really bad for the Fool, he came across the Wheel of Fortune, and he learned to trust fate and believe in miracles. He learned that everything in life is on a cycle or a circle, in a circle. And what goes up must come down, and vice versa. So everything is within the circle, and it keeps turning and turning, and we don't know where we're going to get off. So he's kind of learning more about the fates and things that he can't control, the things that are already set in motion for him, and the things that he's destined to do. He's starting to see future prospects and having a little bit more of an understanding of who he is and where he's standing. And the next one is Justice. This is the Anger card. He might be angry. With this kind of introspection and questioning beliefs, it's very natural to get angry and defensive. But now he's able to kind of see things as they are, and whether or not he accepts that, that's up to him. On this card, there's a feather right beneath the scale. To me, that kind of shows that that the scales can be easily tipped in either direction if he isn't careful. So he can choose the path that he's accepting, that all of these things are happening, and specific things about the world and society and himself, and he's taking responsibility for his actions, and he's making the decision to move forward with all of this information. Or he could stay where he is and just be angry that he realized all this stuff and ignore it. And the next card is the Hanged Man. So after kind of balancing out the way that he's feeling and some of that anger, and he's moved forward, he's decided to move forward, he becomes the Hanged Man. So the Hanged Man is kind of stuck in this limbo where he doesn't know which way he's going. We don't know if he's being a martyr or if he's being self-defeating. But he doesn't realize that his foot isn't tied to the cross. So he's able to leave whenever he wants. He just doesn't know how to get out of that situation. The Hanged Man is the moment of illumination. It's the sudden idea of knowing what to do, like how to move forward, and choosing to jump in instead of standing still and stagnant. The Fool is learning how to trust himself now, so he's learning a little bit more about himself. Transition. In some decks, this is called Death. It's not negative. Transition is simply a period of change. Without death, there's no rebirth. So, with the Death card, I think of it as in black and white. There's no kind of gray area where to live. So it's either you do it or you don't. In this case, the Fool is kind of, he's coming out of that space of the Hanged Man and realizing everything that he needs to let go and to shed in order to be himself and to be the best version of himself. He understands now that death isn't permanent, that everything that dies is reborn. And he's now deciding he's deciding what he's going to take with him and what he's going to leave behind. If you notice in this, he left behind a crown and the Pope hat. So he's leaving behind the things that he knows or thinks about his society. And he's leaving behind the idea that he knows everything and that he's in complete control. The next one is temperance. This is after his rebirth, the Fool comes in as temperance. And this is where he realizes that everything is balanced, everything is equal, and everything has to live in a balance, otherwise it'll fail. So he's learning, it's kind of like the strength card. This is the card 14, strength is number 7. So it's related to the strength card in the way that it's the same kind of energy, except temperance instead of with the strength card learning how to love more gently or the power of gentleness, now with temperance he's learning how to balance his emotions and how to it's the Chariot, not strength. Yeah, number 7 is the Chariot. So he's not that like confident person that like he's still confident, but it's a different kind of confident. So it's like he went through the Chariot, went through strength, and now he's at temperance. So he's learning all of these skills and he's combining them into his being. He's allowing himself to feel balanced, to balance his emotions. He's learned the importance of power without harshness, and he's trying to find a balance within himself that it's like inner harmony and harmony with all things. And he just wants, that's all he wants, is harmony and balance and equality and stability, like stability of his emotions. This card also represents health. Usually she's holding I think it's called a catechist, the health thing from Hermes, I think. The next one is materialism. In other decks, this is called the Devil. In tarot, I don't have any specific beliefs about religious figures or anything like that, but in tarot, he's not an external source of anything. He's just, all he represents in the major arcana is lust, temptation, addiction, materialism, things that we hold on to and we don't want to let go, or we don't know how to let go, or in this case the Fool is realizing that he has all these holds in reality and they're all material things, and he doesn't want to let any of that go. And then he's realizing that in a deeper part of himself, because even though he felt good as temperance, he's now realizing that there's more to learn. So he's jumping in, he meets the Devil, and the Devil is binding him, and he's forcing him to analyze his deepest emotions and analyze the things that are so deep within him that he barely even knows that they're there. And then there's a sudden break, and the walls fall down. And the tower is about chaos and destruction. But in the Fool's case, it's a good thing, because the walls are representing the inner portion of himself that's hard to access. So he's breaking through those walls, and he's learning more about himself, and he's healing. He's allowing himself to pull all of that out and heal from it. And it seems like a scary card, but this is just another death. And without death, there can be no rebirth. And now he's the star. And since everything was, the walls came down with the tower, the star is the innermost portion of his soul. His soul is freely showing, and he's content, he's serene, he's tranquil, and he wants to share that with people, but he's not really, like, he wants to share his love and tranquility, and he thinks that this is the end. He thinks that he's fully fulfilled. But then he comes across the moon. And the moon tells him, no, you're not done. The moon is kind of like a devil card. It talks about our deepest desires and our wants, but they're unconscious desires. So he's, instead of looking at the things that, maybe traumas, or maybe things that are affecting the way that he acts, or the way that he holds on to things, or material things, he's now looking at his fears and anxieties. He's analyzing what he's afraid of and why. And at this point, he's acknowledging that there is something inside of him that he hasn't seen yet, and that would be his fears and anxieties. And with that revelation, he sees the sun. And the sun is representative of full fulfillment. It's illumination. Nothing else can get in his way. There's nothing else that can bring him down. He's seen it all. Like, there's nothing that's too big of a challenge for him. The way forward is paved in light. He knows exactly where he's going, and he's confident in his choices. And then he gets to judgment. And this is the final trial. So he's not afraid of it, because he's enlightened. He understands who he is, what he's doing in the world. And this is just the last death before the rebirth. So the judgment card tells us to let go of old things. It is the last reminder to let go of old habits, old ways of thinking, or things that are holding us back. It's asking us to look at our actions and our reactions and kind of just get to the nitty-gritty of everything. So it's about letting those things go, like all of those things that he found with the devil and the moon card. Now he's saying, okay, I need to release all of that in order to move forward. I need to stop holding on to these thoughts. I need to stop holding on to these things. he's understanding his purpose. He's seeing it clearly in front of him. And then he re-enters the world as a brand new person, and he is the embodiment of fulfillment. He knows exactly what he wants. He knows how to get it, and he knows he's whole. He's accomplished so much, and it certainly wasn't easy. There were a lot of challenges, but he has inner certainty. He's serene. He's content. He is so sure of himself now, and he can see everything that's going on in the world and in society and in himself that is a reflection of. Sorry, let me rephrase that. He can see everything in himself that is a reflection of society. And now he's let all of that go, and he's turning into someone that he was meant to be. Okay, well, I'm hoping that this was helpful. Sorry if I rambled on a little bit. I'll put the keywords for each of the cards into the description because I realized that I didn't do that after the Fool. But I'll put them all there, and I hope that this was helpful for you. Let me know, and thank you for watching.